Hello everyone. In this video we want to take you on our journey through the value creation wheel. In this project we had the pleasure to work together with the lovely improvisational theater group OS Impromix. When we started the project we already had a rough challenge given to us by the company, which was how can OS Impromix attract more audience? In this video we will present to you how we assessed this challenge and came up with a proper solution and strategy to tackle any related obstacle. Let me introduce you to our team that worked together on this project. We have Joanna, Fred, Francisco, Sebastian, Francesco, and myself, Ugo. All of us are students in Masters in Management at Nova SBE, and we will guide you through the distinct phases of the value creation wheel. In the scope of the project, we were given the challenge, how can OS Impromix increase its audience? Identifying the underlying problem to this challenge, we found that there was just a very low knowledge about impro as an art form, and that the theater group was not engaging properly in counteracting this issue. Going through the value creation wheel, we found that the most effective way to tackle this problem at a small budget will be to increase digital marketing activities. To be precise, in collaboration with the key decision makers, we decided to pursue 4 different ideas, which are to establish a newsletter, create a review page on TripAdvisor, build up a YouTube channel, and create a podcast. According to the structure of the value creation wheel, we split the project into 5 distinct phases. While phase 1 was used to define a clear diagnostic and challenge for the current situation, phase 2 was the time to come up with various ideas and filters to tackle this situation. In phase 3, we assessed the previous ideas and filters and decided which were then used to move forward with to be filtered in the value creation funnel in phase 4. We then developed 4 prototypes according to our ideas that were then evaluated regarding several aspects in phase 5. Let's start with phase 1 of the value creation wheel, which is about defining. As a first step, we performed a thorough diagnostic of the market, on which we based the definition of our challenge and the connected expected KPIs. As a first step, we defined the market space and the challenge given in the scope of the project. To find the best solution for our key decision maker, we closely assessed the market. We believe the offer of OS Impromix to be especially attractive to people who are interested in watching live performances or who generally enjoy spending time in bar or restaurants that offers some form of entertainment at the same time. Based on this, the given challenge is to increase the popularity of OS Impromix and the demand for their performances. This challenge will be tackled using the value creation wheel framework. As an improvisational theater, OS Impromix is part of the contemporary performing art scene. For this reason, we closely analyze this environment. In the past years, new trends have been developing in the industry, including the rise of improvisational theater. This is reinforced by Portuguese municipalities, which have been putting a stronger emphasis on their cultural roles in recent times. Therefore, new artists and venues are constantly emerging, which also creates a high danger of extinction. Even though municipalities are reinforcing culture, artists cannot hope for major funding through the state, as most of the allocated budget is forwarded to the 3 national theaters in Portugal. With the rise of technology, also the contemporary performing arts scene has undergone significant changes, and customers expect more and more exciting forms of entertainment. From 2020 to 2027, the performing arts market is supposed to grow at a CAGR of 3%. Portugal's cultural landscape is well positioned to grow with it, and therefore offers a unique opportunity for OS Impromix to leverage this as well. To gain deeper insight about OS Impromix, we then decided to assess the business in a 5C model situation analysis. OS Impromix is a small business operating with only a few actors. They usually host their shows once a week in bars, restaurants, small theaters, or cultural space, so it's important to note that they don't have their own venue. Competition-wise, the company not only faces direct competition from other impro theater, but even more from substitutes such as traditional theaters, concerts, or other forms of nighttime activities. However, The theater is also based in a very social and culturally rich city with a vibrant art scene that can be leveraged. OS Impromix can, on one hand, collaborate with restaurants and bars that provide the venue, and on the other hand, with external actors or other improv groups. We identified customers as the main crux for OS Impromix. The show faces the challenge of low demand for its shows, which could be due to a lack of awareness among potential customers about its unique style and offering. Digging deeper into the customer sector, we identified 6 different customer groups that are most likely to visit OS Impromix show. Starting with, we view the general public as a potential customer group, as it includes everyone who enjoys live theater and wants to experience a unique form of evening entertainment or a change in their routine occasionally. Going in more narrowly, we also viewed educational institutions such as schools or university as potential customers, as well as international tourists if OS Impromix reinforce their aim of offering shows in English. Since Impro combined theater and comedy, we also considered theater goers and art lovers that are open to unconventional forms of art, as well as comedy fans as potential suspects. Another very likely customer group is national tourists that are looking for an entertaining nighttime activity in Lisbon on their trip. To get a better look at how OS Impromix is positioned in the market environment, we executed Porter 5 forces. The threat of new entrants is moderate because starting an improv company requires certain skills. However, the financial entry barriers are low, which results in moderate threat. The power of suppliers is high, since the company is relying on theater, bars, or a different venue to host their shows. However, due to the relatively low demand for the offer, suppliers have high bargaining power. Since there are several different entertainment options in the city that are more mainstream and established compared to OS Impromix, the power of buyers is relatively high, especially since switching costs between offers are very low. Consequently, also the power of substitute is fairly high due to the elaborate offer of other nighttime activities such as cinema, concert, or other theaters. Finally, this results in a high intensity of rivalry due to the high number of other entertainment options. This creates pressure on OS Impromix to differentiate itself from the competition and create a unique value proposition to attract customers. In our competitor analysis, we included direct and indirect competitors. OS Impromix has few direct competitors through improvisation organization, but regular theater and comedy clubs are also operating in the same scene and are considered fierce competition as well. As the 3 main competitors, we considered OS Impropaves, Jokebox Improv, and Cardume Impro Group. However, the competitive landscape that OS Impromix is operating in is special in that sense that a lot of group or theater supports each other through collaborations. For instance, OS Impromix has already played several shows at Teatro Tivoli as well. This is due to the reason that collaboration is in the nature of art and theater and can therefore also create unique opportunities to increase revenues. As a next step, we analyzed how OS Impromix is set up to compete against other businesses in the industry regarding several criteria. For instance, we closely examined competitors' social media channels and viewed which companies offer their tickets directly on their website or via a subcontractor. In doing so, we aim to leverage potential niches in the market that OS Impromix can take advantage of. This conceptual map allows us to have a better look at the position of our company compared to its competitor based on 2 criteria: the price and the number of shows per week. Impromix offers relatively low ticket prices compared to its competitors, which are even based below the average price in the industry. They further distinguish themselves by providing 1 to 3 shows per week. Therefore, they position themselves quite fairly in terms of price and frequency of performance and offer customers a unique value proposition.
Digging deeper into the essence of Impromix, we viewed the company's vision and mission. The group's current vision is to be recognized as the leading improvisational theater in Lisbon that inspires, entertains, and enriches the lives of its audience through the transformative power of improvisation. Further, their mission is to provide audiences with high-quality, engaging, and unique entertainment through expressive improvisational theater, while also fostering creativity, collaboration, and personal growth for their performance and staff. The defined vision and mission allow for the potential growth of the company in the future while also upholding high standards for all stakeholders. Regarding the company's values, we identified 7 main values, including creativity, continuous learning, collaboration, inclusivity, fun, personal growth, and community. As a young company operating in the art scene, values such as creativity and openness to continuous learning are especially crucial to guarantee the success of the business. But also, collaboration within the company and with external stakeholders are of the utmost importance. To really assess Impromix's unique strengths and weaknesses and see what opportunities and threats the market offers, we did a SWOT analysis. As for strengths, the Impro Group can leverage its first mover advantage of being the first group to offer shows at a high frequency. Further, Impromix has well-known Portuguese actors in their portfolio that have up to 14,000 followers on social media. However, a crucial weakness of the company is the low awareness of the brand and the improvisation market among potential customers. Unfortunately, the small budget that Impromix has can only do little to counteract this problem and does not allow for proper marketing activities. This problem is reinforced by a lack of organizational structure within the company, since as a business operating in the arts industry, creativity and spontaneity are core values of staff members, but these also reduce operational efficiency. Considering threats in the industry, the concept of improvisational theater is easy to imitate, as it requires no special costumes or equipment, and hence no high initial investment is required. This threat is reinforced by the strong competition we described in the competitor analysis. However, the market also offers opportunities. For instance, Impromix can collaborate with other organizations and artists to create unique and innovative productions that may increase brand awareness, popularity, and consequently revenues. A further opportunity would be to increase online presence, since social media enables companies to reach a wider audience. The potential audience may also be increased by offering shows in English to attract tourists or international residents in Lisbon that make up a huge part of the population and are usually very eager to engage in the Portuguese culture and seek unique entertainment offerings. Based on our situational analysis and a SWOT analysis, we developed key business strategies using a TAUS matrix, combining several aspects we found to be important in our internal and external environment. For instance, we found that Impromix can use the well-known actors in its portfolio to increase its online visibility. Further, the group can further extend its first mover advantage by being the first group to partner up with galleries or art bars to host its shows at. Combining the group's strengths and the threats it faces, we found a unique talent that can be found amongst the group members as a unique advantage compared to competitors. In terms of weaknesses and opportunities, we believe that an effective way to increase the awareness of the improv market is to leverage digital channels, especially since online activities do not necessarily require a big budget. Considering the mini-mini strategy of the group, we realized that the low awareness of the improv market in general would lead to competitors facing the same obstacles as Impromix. In this sense, any raised awareness about the market through competitors' advertising can be beneficial to the group if it increases the customer's interest in the art form in general. As a next step, we performed a VRIO analysis to assess the worth of key resources and capabilities that make up Impromix and assessed if they give the group a competitive advantage. These were then viewed and evaluated in the 4 different VRIO criteria: valuable, rare, inimitable, and organized. Out of the examined resources and capabilities, we found out that performance style and quality are the features that allows Impromix to have a sustainable competitive advantage over competitors. Using the knowledge that we had gathered through the previous analysis, we used the 5 whys to get to the root cause of the problem of why Awesome Promix's popularity and attractiveness to customers is low. Something we realized pretty early on in the process is that there is an evident lack of awareness about the improv market and this entertainment offer. However, this issue is not properly counteracted by Awesome Promix due to a lack of organizational structure, which is due to the nature of the art-inspired minds of the founders and staff. Compared to other companies in other industries, the group may be less organized, which can prevent operational efficiency and therefore make it impossible to run a successful business. Going deeper into this problem, we realize that this may be due to a lack of mindfulness among the key decision makers who may not be fully aware of the potential benefits of marketing or other business tools to increase audiences and inform them about the market. We then went one step deeper and identified the lack of marketing to be the root cause of this issue. To be more precise, we then decided to narrow this down to a lack of digital marketing, since street marketing and word-of-mouth advertising seem to be pretty effective due to our primary research results. However, without digital marketing, Awesome Promix may not be able to research wider audiences and does not make itself and its services known in a market. Further, without effective digital marketing, the company will not be able to educate and engage a larger number of people in improv as an art form, and will have a hard time attracting large customer bases. Therefore, investing in effective digital marketing strategies will help Awesome Promix to reach its target audience and increase its brand recognition, ensuring its competitiveness and success in the long run. After this thorough analysis, we felt confident to really define a challenge for Awesome Promix. Building upon the initial challenge given to us from the key decision makers, how can Awesome Promix attract more audience, we went deeper into the essence of this challenge. So despite performing weekly, the group is not well known in and outside of Lisbon. This lack of visibility is restricting the theater's potential to attract a larger audience and reach new markets. As a result, this project aims to discover a solution to this problem. Our team therefore highlighted the primary obstacles that are hindering the theater's growth. A still relatively low number of events, a small number of locations to hold shows at, minimal marketing activity, and a lack of improvisational organization. The objective is to create a comprehensive plan for dealing with these difficulties. This may include reconsidering the theater's branding and marketing efforts, experimenting with new ways to reach audiences, and connecting with the local community to establish a stronger and more devoted fan base. Finally, we want to assist Awesome Promix in reaching its full potential by drawing more people, strengthening its popularity, and broadening its reach to become a recognized institution in the Lisbon artistic landscape. In order to better understand the reasons for Awesome Promix's low popularity, we decomposed the challenge into 4 pillars that we each thought would be important in the process of increasing Awesome Promix's popularity. We believe that each of these pillars will contribute to attracting more audiences, but in the scope of the value creation wheel, we will probably only be able to tackle one of these goals. However, we will try to provide Awesome Promix with the necessary means to tackle the rest of the pillars on their own. The first of these goals is more shows, because on average, Awesome Promix performs 4 to 8 shows every month. The key reason for this low figure is a lack of demand and client knowledge of the improvisation industry. As ticket sales increase, Awesome Promix may be able to double or triple its show schedule. Secondly, Awesome Promix will need more venues. One of the major difficulties that Awesome Promix is now dealing with is a shortage of adequate facilities to operate in. Because the organization does not own a permanent venue for its performances, it relies on collaboration with other venues. The third pillar is improving digital marketing. Awesome Promix needs to expand the reachability of its potential customers in order to increase market and brand recognition and obtain a larger audience. As a result, a more comprehensive marketing and advertising plan must be established with a particular emphasis on digital advertising. To accomplish so, Awesome Promix must first establish its primary customer base and target audience, followed by channels and strategies for reaching this group. Further, Awesome Promix must improve its organizational structure. The roles and duties for the impending difficulties must now be defined. This comprises well-defined tasks for marketing and public relations, as well as acquiring collaboration partners and venues. Other challenges may be successfully met once the responsibilities are clarified and professionally staffed. This structure also includes a website where online tickets can be purchased, allowing the group to collect user data and utilize it for marketing and locating a producer. To effectively work towards these goals, we had to establish key performance indicators. To ensure the usefulness and feasibility of these KPIs, we used a SMART method to guarantee that KPIs were specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Using the previously described method, we came up with several key performance indicators, which were created to monitor the evolution and guarantee the success of Impromix. We subdivided these KPIs into 4 different categories: personal, short-term, medium-term, and long-term KPIs. Considering personal KPIs, as a team, we defined that at the end of the project, we want to achieve full application and comprehension of the value creation wheel framework, which is measured by demonstrating knowledge of key concepts and a successful application of the framework to generate ideas and strategies that will profit our key decision makers. As for short-term KPIs, within the time frame of the project, we want to increase the portfolio of regular venues from 6 to 10 places, and also set up a company website to provide current information about upcoming shows and ticket sales. Medium-term KPIs are to increase the follower number on Instagram from 450 to 10,000 within 1 year, and increase the average audience size from 20 to 35 people per show. To measure this, we recommend a sampling of the public size at least every 3rd show. In the case of long-term KPIs, the goal is to increase the number of shows from 8 to 16 per month and to establish Impromix as the leading improvisational theater in Lisbon, which will be measured using several criteria such as the number of followers on social media compared to competitors, the number of shows compared to competitors, the size of audience compared to competitors, and reviews online. To complete the personal KPIs, we found it to be crucial that during the project, the cooperation with KDMs runs smoothly and their requests can be incorporated to full satisfaction. To effectively guarantee the success of this goal, we will aim for at least 4 meetings with the KDMs to discuss further steps. For short-term KPIs, we put even more emphasis on digital presence and will aim for more community management measured by the number of posts and stories per month and surpassing the majority of competitors on social media within the timeframe of the project. As for medium-term KPIs, an important goal is to implement a customer database through ticket purchase on a website and to use this database to do retargeting and other marketing activities. Another long-term KPI will be to achieve brand recognition of Impromix beyond the borders of Lisbon, which will be measured by tracking the number of new customers from outside of Lisbon via the previously established customer database. Going deeper into the process, we assess the expected engagement of stakeholders that will be needed to guarantee the success of the project. Consequently, we found out that various stakeholders will need to be involved in the process. Besides the business owner, the KDM, and the staff, we also consider the main competitors, customers, the local community, and the media, to name a few. Their roles will be more closely examined during this video.
Given the thorough company and market analysis done in phase 1, we will now turn our attention to phase 2. This phase is also called the increase phase, and was the time to start creating ideas, filters, and criteria, and achieve purification of concepts. To come up with suitable filters and criteria, we first gathered information through primary and secondary research to ensure that we will find a suitable solution to our challenge. Primary data involved individual questioning and collection of ideas for solving the challenge, brainstorming as well as the brainwriting method, 2 kinds of online surveys that were conducted with a random sample of people online and customers of Impromix, and personal interviews with KVM in which we questioned the previous strategy and operations. For secondary data, we viewed competitor websites and social media channels, as well as online reports and newspaper articles. This was used to find out more about building a successful theater business and learn more about the industry. With this data as a solid foundation, we came up with solutions by transforming the generated ideas into topics and then dividing main topics into 4 main categories for potential filters that are audience and market reach, resources and flexibility, implementation and impact, and growth and business success. To better understand the market and to identify potential customers and new distribution channels, we conducted 2 distinct online surveys. The first survey was conducted with a random sample of people that were unaware of Impromix and mostly covered questions about preferences and knowledge about improv as an art form. The second survey was done exclusively
with customers of Impromix that were invited to fill out the survey after having seen a show. This helped in getting a deeper understanding of the current customer base and their behavior, and to evaluate the effectiveness of current operational activities as well as the quality of the shows. Evaluating the results of the random sample online survey, we gained valuable insights that helped us move forward with the project. This sample was made up of 69 participants with different demographics. Within the given sample, Instagram and YouTube turned out to be the most used social media channels, whereas Facebook seems to be the rather unpopular. The survey also supported our initial hypothesis that Impromix was the victim of low awareness of improv as an art form, as more than 2/3 of the sample have never been to an improvisational comedy show before in their lives. In terms of substitutes, cinema was found to be the most popular form of entertainment, whereas theater and comedy shows are not nearly as popular. Analyzing the results of the survey conducted exclusively with customers of Impromix helped us to draw a clearer outline of the group's current customer base. For instance, we found out that the majority of their customers are aged between 19 and 32. Similar to the random sample, Instagram and YouTube are the most regularly used social media channels among Impromix customers. Currently, word of mouth seems to be the most effective advertising that Impromix has, since 47% of the respondents indicated that they had heard about the theater from a friend. On the other hand, only 13% had heard of the group via social media, which is a promotion channel that has the potential to be leveraged even more in the future. This survey was conducted with 32 participants, all Portuguese residents. The customers reviewed the show very positively, resulting in an overall performance ranking of 4.8 stars and a 100 rewatch rate. This supports our previous analysis from phase 1, in which we assumed that the low popularity of the group is the underlying problem, rather than the low quality of the shows. Complementary to the primary research we conducted, we supplemented our knowledge about improv and the theater business through secondary research. Therefore, we dug deeper into the effects of social media on customer behavior. We found out that social media is supposed to become the primary influence on consumer behavior, which is supported by the rapid growth of social commerce in the past years. This can be something that may be leveraged by Impromix, since a possible outcome of this is likely to be a shift in the balance of power in a marketplace from established players to smaller businesses, as any brand can use social commerce to directly reach customers. The key to being successful in this market lies in creating compelling content and cultivating relationships with social media influencers. We also examined factors that are, though, to be crucial when establishing a successful theater business and assessed whether Impromix is already engaging in this. Hence, crucial steps that the group is still missing to ensure success are creating a budget and establishing a detailed marketing plan. Using the knowledge we had gained through primary and secondary research, we then started with the idea creation process. For this, we used individual brainstorming to generate as many ideas as possible by considering many different possibilities. Additionally, we used the brainwriting method, where we developed 18 initial ideas. Using the 6-3-5 method, we were able to build on each other's thoughts and develop these ideas further, compared to the individual approach followed prior in the brainstorming process. This resulted in more than 100 different ideas covering topics such as venues, management improvements, or marketing activities. Using the previously described idea generation methods, we managed to come up with more than 100 unique ideas, all with the same objectives, which is to increase Impromix audiences. These ideas cover multiple areas such as digital content and engagement. For instance, this could involve creating a TikTok account, promotion and advertisement, which could include offering merchandise, and even public relations and networking ideas. It is important to note that the ideas provided on this slide are just a representation of the ideas we generated in the thinking process, and do not depict the whole repertoire of concepts we came up with.
To select the ideas with the most impact, we developed filters with the goal of sorting out unfit concepts. Thus, we identified 17 filters clustered into 4 different categories. The first category, audience and market reach, includes filters such as audience reach, market demand, and audience engagement. The second category, resources and flexibility, involves filters such as time commitment, cost effectiveness, and flexibility. Whereas the third category, implementation and impact, involves impact, feasibility, and sustainability. The fourth category was defined as growth and business success and included growth potential and competitive advantage. Continuing the previous slide, we added 5 more filters to the list, which are brand differentiation, relevance, creativity, partnership, authenticity, and scalability. Similar to the ideas, also the filters have to be narrowed down. And to do so, we made use of the poker method. By using this method, we understood the added value each filter would bring to the analysis and its usefulness in choosing the right concept. Filters were killed if they were not relevant or good enough, given in the scope of the challenge. Other filters were reviewed if we felt that the quality and the impact of the filter needed to be further investigated. Filters could also be multiplied if they needed to be divided into separate streams. If the defined filter suited the scope of the challenge, it was kept for filtering process. After executing the poker method, we killed 3 of the previously defined filters, reviewed also 3 filters, multiplied 1, and kept 10. Regarding the filters that were kept due to their believed efficiency for finding the most impactful ideas, we included audience reach, market demand, brand differentiation, time commitment, cost effectiveness, flexibility, feasibility, partnership, growth potential, and scalability. These filters were the basis that we used in further ranking processes that will be elaborated further in phase 3C. Then we advanced to the other 3 pillars of the poker method: review, multiply, and kill. Creativity, competitive advantage, and audience engagement were reviewed, whereas impact was multiplied into ROI and impact on audience. Doing so, we split the impact aspect into a financial component and an audience component. Finally, we killed relevance, authenticity, and sustainability. These last mentioned filters will no longer take part in this framework and will not be considered in further analysis. Moving on one step further in the value creation wheel, we continued our work in phase 3, the assess phase, where we selected not only ideas but also criteria and then ranked and weighted the filters individually. As previously mentioned, in phase 2, we focused on 3 areas of ideas, which are digital content and engagement, promotion and advertisement, and public relation and networking. Regarding digital content and engagement, we created 20 ideas, ranging from creating a podcast to the use of the online platform TripAdvisor. Transitioning to the ideas related to promotion and advertisement, we developed 5 individual ideas to attract new customers and improve us Impromix's reputation. To name 2 examples, this could involve the use of search engine optimization and utilization of Google Ads, for example. Regarding public relations and networking, we came up with 8 distinct ideas to increase opportunities for partnerships and increase us Impromix's brand visibility. This can be achieved, for instance, through creating a viral marketing campaign that challenges fans to recreate a popular sketch or improv game and post it on social media. Before filtering these ideas, we went back to the results of the poker method discussed in phase 2. After reviewing, multiplying, and killing some of the filters, we added 3 more filters on top of the 10 initial keep filters. 2 of them originated from the multiplication of impact into ROI and impact on audience, and one that was kept after being reviewed was creativity. Thus, we end up with 13 filters that will be used in phase 4 of the value creation wheel. In phase 2, we had already killed 3 filters. Now, after the review process, 2 other filters were killed as well. After that, it is fundamental to rank the filters so we know which level of importance is assigned to each specific filter. This way, from a scale of 1, unimportant, to 10, very important, we evaluated the criteria. This would also facilitate the process of dividing the filters into must-haves and nice-to-have filters. After the ranking, it was clear to us that the 3 most important filters were feasibility, impact on audience, and ROI, to which we allocated a weight of over 8.5. In the last step of phase 3, we categorized the filters into nice-to-have or must-have. Due to their low ranking, we defined competitive advantage and audience engagement as nice-to-have filters, while all the other filters are must-have filters.
In phase 4, we will now apply the ideas generated to the filters to filter out the best ideas for solving the challenge and further elaborate them in the form of prototypes. The value creation funnel checks whether the idea passed through all the filters. If one of the ideas does not meet the requirements of a filter, this idea is filtered out. A total of 13 filters are applied to the ideas. Among others, the filters include feasibility, impact on audience, return on investment, and growth potential. This procedure defines the selection of the ideas in the first step of the decision-making process. In the next step, the ideas are applied to the filters of the multi-criteria decision analysis. Here, the ideas are not filtered directly if they cannot pass a filter, but the other filters are also considered and a sum of the fulfilled criteria is formed at the end. The ideas with the highest sum thus represent the best ideas. The higher the sum of the ideas, the higher they can be ranked and considered. The remaining ideas are now ranked with the results of the multi-criteria decision analysis and classified into 3 categories: digital content and engagement, public relations and networking, and promotion and advertising. In addition, it is checked whether the competition has already implemented these ideas in order to get a better overview and to decide whether these ideas are made redundant. The green tick means that the competition is already implementing the ideas. The red tick means that the ideas are new in the current environment. All of the ideas are then presented to the key decision makers as a basis for discussion. After an intensive discussion with the key decision makers and an examination of the content of the different ideas, the key decision makers decide to focus on 4 of the ideas presented and to work out their implementation. In particular, ideas are selected that focus on the digital presence of Impromix and thus increase the audience. The first idea chosen was to launch a podcast on Spotify, which would offer the opportunity to showcase the talents of Impromix in audio format, promote further shows, and provide education of the subject of improvisation. This idea needs to be embedded into the theater's digital strategy in the form of websites and Instagram page. In addition, the idea of YouTube channel for the show is to be implemented, which will include the visual component of the show. The channel should provide content regarding short clips of performances, backstage footage, and interviews with performers and experts. Moreover, a newsletter is intended to inform customers and potential customers about news from Impromix and the theater scene in general. For this purpose, contact data must be collected, which represent the further component of the digital strategy and expansion of the theater. As a last idea, the key decision makers decided to activate Impromix on the TripAdvisor platform in order to generate more reach, especially with regard to the fact the show will also be offered in English. In the next few months, this offers the opportunity to draw the attention of tourists in Lisbon to the show. With positioning, we can understand where Impromix is placed in the segment and how they differentiate themselves from competitors. The focus of Impromix lies thereby on the general public and national tourists who are interested in theatre. The competition is located in Lisbon as well as already captured in the phase 1 of the project. Compared to the competitors, Impromix performs not only in one location but in several bars and restaurants and focus 100% on improvisation theatre. Following these circumstances, the positioning statement includes strong belief in cooperation, spontaneity, and memorable performances in different places in Lisbon, as well as providing a fun night out or creating outlet. The concept and value proposition is divided into 4 parts. The first one is to find the connection to our initial challenge. How can we attract more audience? This is a basis for a proposal to value to our ideas. In the second step, we remind that the key decision makers decided to go with a focus on digital presence to reach the challenge. The focus on digital presence is further explored in the third step, which explains the 4 ideas that will be used to increase the digital presence of Impromix. This includes the podcast, the YouTube channel, the newsletter, and the presence on TripAdvisor. The 4th step explains that the extent the ideas are relevant in the context of challenge and generate value. In this case, this is justified by the fact that the ideas increase digital visibility. In terms of content, the ideas are convincing in that they initially close the gap in knowledge about improvisational theatre and integrate the community into the show through behind the scenes and feedback opportunities. It is important that the digital strategy is coordinated across all platforms in terms of design and content. With regard to the development of the prototypes on the basis of the ideas developed, the 7 P's of marketing must also be observed. The live performance that Impromix performs should be mentioned as a product. The price must be still checked for profitability. It is currently €5, which should be too low for a live event. The place varies depending on the performance. Here it is also important to check alternatives in relation to future challenges. The people consist of the actors of the events. However, people with business expertise should be brought in to help make the theatre more successful. The process of appearance should be supported with digitalization in terms of organizational processes and thus automated. Of course, the improvisational component should be retained. The physical evidence also needs to be strengthened and integrated through feedback from customers through new platforms. The first idea of the podcast is now being worked out as a part of a prototype. The podcast Lisbon Love is published once a week on the Spotify platform and lasts between 20 and 30 minutes. 1 or 2 actors from Impromix were recorded and entertain comedy lovers, theatre enthusiasts, and humor enthusiasts. The structure of the podcast should be structured in such a way that after the instruction there's a short improv warm-up, followed by interviews or improv scenes in audio form and advertising for the events of the coming weeks. Interviews with guest comedians, performers are presented as general content. In particular, behind-the-scenes stories, but also further theatre stories should be taken up. Sketches and parodies will also be performed to promote part of the show. In addition, live recordings of shows can be implemented to make the podcast lively and to create a connection to the show. With engaging, appealing, and high-quality videos, Impromix can reach the attention of various potential customers, increasing its awareness for the show. The YouTube channel Impromix will release 1-2 times videos per week, 5 to 10 minutes in length, aimed at all people interested in theatre and backgrounds. The structure is set up in such a way that the actors explain improvisation and its background after a short introduction and also analyze recorded video material from the live shows. Before that, it is also discussed that the right past looks like and what emotions are associated with this form of theater. Cutscenes are also used, for example, short takes with legends to display all the talent and interaction that is involved when it's showtime. The main part of the content includes the displaying what the show is going to be about and some parts of it and exhibit all the phases and methods the actors go through training to understand the beauty of improv. Newsletters help build important and close relationships with clients. A newsletter informs about the new shows and the schedule of the next weeks. He also shares information about innovations such as the introduction of the podcast. In addition, it gives subscribers the opportunity to give feedback and thus improve the program. In order to share this newsletter, contacts via social networks are used on the one hand, but also email addresses which are collected via platforms such as TripAdvisor or surveys. The newsletter is shared weekly and given opportunity 5 to 5 minutes to read. The target audience are customers who want to interact more with Impromix and people interested in the concept in general. The next idea is TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor has a high potential to drive ticket sales due to its frequent use by customers all over the world looking for activities. The platform has enormous global reach and thrives on reviews and interactions between participants. The listing would initially be free for Impromix, but a fee of 12 to 15% booking would apply, which could be compensated for by an increase in ticket prices, for example. The structure of the Impromix appearance is divided into a short information page about location and the content of the show, as well as high-quality pictures of the show and maybe the actors. In addition, contact details are available and you can buy tickets directly online. By this, TripAdvisor would help Impromix to increase the public audience.
Now that we have covered what ideas we are going to pursue and how they will be achieved, we will cover how they can be represented in the business model of the company and the resources necessary for each of the ideas in Phase 5 of the value creation wheel. In the 3M's analysis, we looked at how resource-intensive our ideas are in 3 different areas: money, manpower, and minute. This framework is used in project management to assess resources and constraints, and it helps teams to ensure that they have enough time, budget, and personnel to successfully complete a project. From this initial overview, we can see that the YouTube channel will be the one with higher resource requirements, but we will look at each domain individually. In the manpower domain, we have put ourselves in different roles to make sure that we cover all the necessary areas and are focused on specific responsibilities. While Joanna will be responsible for leading and implementing the overall strategy, Hugo will focus on operations and keeping track of the company's performance. Sebastian will take care of the tech and digital aspects of the ideas, Francesco will create financial plans and keep track of the financial statements, and I will be managing the market operations and costs. Lastly, Francisco will work closely with all the departments to coordinate the human resources needs. Now that we know who is responsible for each task, it's important to know when the implementation will be done time-wise. Since the tasks are relatively easy to implement, executions will start next month. Starting in May, we will start with in-depth plans on how to realize each of the different ideas. After 1 month, we plan to be ready to start advertising on TripAdvisor and further enhance the concepts for the rest of the ideas. To start sending newsletter in July. In the same month, we want to finish the design of the podcast and the YouTube channel. In August, we want to start testing and advertising the results of the previous month's planning, while monitoring some of the initial results of our activity on TripAdvisor. Lastly, we want to be ready to launch all the activities regarding the podcast and the YouTube channel. Our efforts to make sure all the idea implementation goes as smoothly as possible depends on a third and last factor, money. We had to do some decisions regarding budgets, and we believe that in the beginning, Impromix should implement these ideas in a way that makes sure they get the most value per euro ratio. Since we are dealing with a business without a well-established financial structure, we will focus on the incremental costs of the various prototypes without paying close attention to Impromix's overall present financial situation. In addition to that, we'll build 3 scenarios for the upcoming year using assumptions we developed through conversations with our key decision makers and taking trends into account, and we'll benchmark these scenarios to the estimated Impromix financial of 2023. In the first scenario, the company will keep going without making any further investment. The artistic landscape in Lisbon is constantly gaining more importance, and Impromix has been improving its numbers in the past year. Because of that, if we keep the status quo, the audience turnout is forecast to increase of 5%, resulting in a net income increase of 30%. In the second scenario, a minimum investment is made for the different prototypes. For the podcast, to subscribe to some service to publish the podcast requiring payment of €10 monthly is needed. The YouTube channel in this scenario will be cost-free because we assume that the videos could be done for free with in-house equipment like smartphones. The newsletter will require a recurring fee of €30 to access some online tools that allow the company to create templates and distribute emails. Lastly, TripAdvisor has a 12% fee on all ticket sales, and we believe that we can manage to sell 20% of the tickets through the platform, resulting in a missed income that we'll consider as an expense. As you can see, this minimum investment scenario will result in a net income growth of roughly 23%, a smaller number compared to the first scenario. In the third one, we assume that these investments will bring a 20% increase in the audience. Some additional capital expenditures will be done for some of the prototypes in the next year, in addition to the monthly expenses considered in scenario 2. For the podcast, a professional microphone and a podcast set will be bought to deliver a perfect service. The YouTube channel will be more costly because it requires equipment like cameras, lighting, and video equipment software, and also needs a video maker to produce high-quality videos. The estimated costs for this are €1,000. The newsletter's first design and production could be outsourced for €400, and then it could be managed autonomously. Lastly, for TripAdvisors, the expenses will remain the same. As you can see from the table, in 2024 the profits are forecasted to be lower than the second scenario due to the consistent capex involved in the first year, but will produce an important growth in net income of 118% compared to 2023, thanks to a 5% increase in the spectators in addition to the 20% increase of 2024. We can assess that the third scenario is the most lucrative of the three and will have the most effect on Impromix. Even if the initial 2024 investment is more consistent, this scenario will be the most successful project by 2025, justifying the capex of the previous year. With our understanding of the resources required for each idea, we are ready to understand how these interconnect with the business model of Impromix. Looking at the business model canvas, we will highlight the areas where our proposed ideas will create more changes, since we have covered some of these topics already. Starting with the cost structure and revenue streams, we will implement new costs, especially those mentioned to implement our ideas, such as advertising fees and initial investments. On the other hand, we can expect new revenue streams, such as the resulting revenue from advertisements in both podcast and YouTube videos. It is also very important to note that one added resource will be the expertise that will be necessary to run all these digital marketing ideas. This will create new channels to interact with the company, especially online. Customers will be able to engage with Impromix in new digital ways. Lastly, new relationships will be built, since, for example, there will be a more intimate contact with the actors in the podcast. Even though we are focused on the future and motivated in the upcoming phases of the project, it is essential to look back on our challenge, assess our previous assumptions and goals, and potentially reanalyze our strategy for Impromix's future. We still believe that increasing both the number of shows and the average audience are necessary for the success of the business. This will be achieved by increased marketing efforts previously described, so the group should continue to focus on this first goal. However, we do believe that we were wrong in thinking that increasing the number of venues would be beneficial, since it is important to first create a loyal fan base that keeps coming back to the shows. This will be more easily achieved when staying at one venue. On the third goal, we are convinced that the goal now should be with a focus on digital marketing as this is the most efficient way to attract more audience and was our focus in the idea generation and filtering process. Lastly, Impromix should still focus on improving its structure and managerial capabilities, which will be done with the help of an external production firm. Continuing the evaluation of our past performance, we were interested in overviewing our initial KPIs and how they evolved during the project. We haven't achieved any of our long-term KPIs because of time constraints, but all our efforts indicate that we are on a good track to achieving them in the proposed duration. The same applies to the majority of the medium-term KPIs, except for increasing the average show attendance, which had been previously achieved already. All our short-term and personal KPIs have been fulfilled, with the former focusing on our group's internal objectives for learning objectives regarding the VCW framework. The only exception is the increase in the portfolio of regular venues, which has been discarded as an interesting topic to pursue, as we have covered in the previous slide. Going back to our thoughts about the future, we have created a new list of KPIs that will measure the effectiveness and quality of future work in this project. Impromix should steadily grow its number of viewers and subscribers on YouTube, the number of regular viewers of the podcast, and the subscribers of the newsletter. We also worked to make these objectives SMART so that it is more likely they will be successfully implemented. On a personal level, it is our desire as a group to keep interacting with Impromix to get feedback on the implementation of the ideas and monitoring of the results. These KPIs will allow the group to focus on the next challenge, which is to successfully implement all the ideas and adjust them according to their results. After that, the focus should also be on expanding to larger venues, finding a producer for social media content, offering events in English for international customers, which can be a huge opportunity considering the number of tourists in Lisbon, especially in the summer, and lastly, opening an unknown venue with regular customers. To achieve these outputs, some fundamental changes will be needed to put in place, but it is necessary to gain new insights about the digital expansion that will help get a wider reach first. The major challenge will be on the organizational side, with a change in the company from an occasional theater to a structured organization with a digital strategy. We believe that these outputs will be beneficial for everyone involved, from the key decision makers to the company's customers. We have been paying attention to the feedback already available on social media and gathered some of these insights. We are also happy to hear that Antonio, one of the key decision makers, stated we have helped the group in many aspects, and that our plan is set to achieve great goals in the future. Even though the primary base for our project has been the VCW framework, other frameworks have also been fundamental for its development. We have used tools such as SWOT analysis, the 5 Cs, Porter's 5 forces, competitor analysis, and many more. We have also conducted market research at a primary and secondary level. Inside the VCW, there are also theoretical implications along the literature of Professor Louis-Philippe Lage, including the application of VCW as a meta framework that contributed to the success of this project. Before we finish our presentation, we want to highlight all the learnings that were achieved during this project, and all the important insights our group has gained through the VCW framework. This framework helped us discover what are the sources of progress, how feedback from everyone involved is necessary, and to understand everyone's point of view. We have further understood how the VCW gives us flexibility on solving problems with a clear structure but endless possibilities. Lastly, this has been a great opportunity to apply different frameworks and theoretical knowledge that we have previously been taught. We want to thank you for watching our video, listening to our presentation, and hearing our insights, learnings, and the development of an amazing project.